So I was part of a group text this morning from friends about warnings about ibuprofen and then the controversy over that. In fact, there's controversy over most of what we are hearing on the news and the internet. As I said in my second webinar yesterday on how to boost the immune system, as a health coach, I urge my clients to question everything because we are all unique with different environmental triggers, different genetic polymorphisms or SNPs, which is can affect the expression of our genes. We all have different diets, we have different stressors. And in functional medicine, we look at all of this for root causes rather than relying on a pill for every ill or symptoms. And most of us are bombarded by marketing and commercials for over-the-counter drugs or medications for every human symptom or condition. And many mistakenly think that because it's sold over-the-counter, it's safe. And this is far from true. For flu-like symptoms, I don't recommend non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs such as Motrin or ibuprofen or Advil, because they are known to damage the gastrointestinal lining. And as we know, 60% of our immune system that we use to fight virus, bacteria, foreign bodies, infections is lined in the gastrointestinal tract. If we add in stress, who's not having stress these days? Birth control pills, too much alcohol, too much caffeine, our standard American diet, and we have a perfect recipe for not only depressed immune systems that increase our susceptibility to colds and the flus, but also a recipe for autoimmune disease, which has become epidemic. I've been able to put my own autoimmune disease into remission by removing inflammatory foods and healing the gut. And I personally used omega-3 fatty acids, such as fish oil, and herbs like curcumin that's found in turmeric. I like the curcumin that's wrapped in phosphatidylcholine, a fatty lipid, so it can get better into the cells. But curcumin and boswellia to lower inflammation instead of these NSAIDs. In fact, when I worked for a large oncology group, many of our patients were able to replace these NSAIDs, and they were on high doses of NSAIDs because of all the symptoms with this combination. And they had equal or better relief without the side effects. So my friends were worried about what to do if you get a fever and you can't take ibuprofen. Number one, I don't think it's very good for a fever. But so someone suggested Tylenol instead, which is advice that's coming out there as well. I don't recommend this either because Tylenol is hard on the liver. And especially if you're on a lot of other medications, there can be competition we have to detoxify everything. The food we eat, our medications, including over-the-counter medications, and there can be some competition and conflict there. But most importantly, what I want to share with you today is the idea, a paradigm shift in thinking. Instead of for every pill there's an ill, let's look at root causes and let's look at and honor how the body is naturally self-healing and self-repairing. So fever is the body's natural way to kill the virus and the bacteria. The resultant sweating that happens after the fever is the body's way to eliminate the toxins and the die-off and to cool the body down. And we have these cycles of fever and chill and sweats and then chills to raise the fever again. And that's the body's way of launching its own immune response and the attack on the virus and the bacteria. So we can honor this. And instead, what can we do? We can get plenty of rest and we can increase our fluids and our minerals and do this with maybe bone broth soup, chicken soup. The important thing is to resist the urge to think we have to mask every symptom with medication. My husband and I were both sick twice this winter, in January and February, with a flu and then severe cold-like symptoms that are going rampant these days. My husband had several days of fever and sweats in January. I never had the fever, but he had fever and sweats. And this is what we did. He slept, he increased his fluid intake, and we recognized that sweats were a way to also eliminate toxins and the die-off from the fever. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm only sharing information that many people are unaware of. If the temperature gets too high, and the Mayo Clinic says 103 for adults, so children can sometimes can tolerate higher, then consider a cold compress or a warm bath to reduce the fever and or seek medical advice, particularly if you're in the high-risk population. Just some food for thought and simple solutions. Carpe diem. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.